Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for all the testimony today. And Mr. Keith, thank you for sharing. Did you say that they wouldn't allow you to have disability? Did I understand it correct? Or you weren't offered a disability recognition?
Yeah, so of course I went to the feds and had them examine me for federal disability, and they said no, I was fine. My doctor said, you know, my condition would improve. I had a torn cartilage in my hand, which I see people working with one hand. I just didn't understand what was happening to me at the time.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And Ms. Hubbard, I've had one of the command chiefs of one of the services visit with me recently, and he told me that the pay for our junior enlisted really hasn't been reviewed in decades. And so what we've seen is, like, every year you get a cost of living increase, but when you do a 3% raise, for example, at a lower pay versus the higher grades, that disparity keeps getting bigger. Would you not think that maybe this is a more effective way of trying to address food insecurity? I would think for our junior enlisted is maybe reviewing the pay.
Yes, I agree that military pay levels need to be looked at. And I think that's an issue and a solution that is working, you know, really far upstream on this issue, which is, of course, I think where we all need to focus, right? As far upstream on these issues as we can. It's a big lift, I think. And I think in the meantime, some of the other proposals and solutions that are being put forth and that we'll discuss today, I think can help these families to be able to put food on the table. But yeah, I agree. I think, you know, we have so many more enlisted members who are supporting families and need additional supports. And so we really do need to look at how the composition of our military has changed over time and make sure that our pay and the benefits are supporting them adequately.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. And I'm hearing some feedback from our most senior enlisted leaders in the military, thinking it's time that the HASC, or the Armed Services Committee, and the Personnel Subcommittee maybe take a look at this. I just heard that last week, in fact, from one of them. So maybe I'll turn over to Miss Hollywood, excuse me. I know we've worked hard on extending family tours or tours of our enlisted so that spouses could get employment more easily so they don't lose their jobs. We're also working on licensing laws so that if you're licensed in Virginia, it will work in, say, Illinois or whatever, and so forth. Are you seeing a positive impact here on some of these adjustments we're making on families for spouse income?
Sir, the needle is moving, but it's not moving nearly fast enough. And the primary reason why it's not is the childcare issue, because you know, the licensing is great, but if we don't fix the childcare issue, we're never gonna move the needle on military spouse unemployment.
Now, most bases offer childcare. So are you saying it's not enough capacity at each base, or some bases not doing? Because every base I've been on has childcare provisions.
In my active duty life, I was a squadron commander for those units that did run childcare facilities, and never enough capacity. Never enough capacity, coupled with the cost. And granted, childcare facilities on military installations are subsidized, but there's just increasing costs on and off installation. So that's really a primary concern of military spouses that has prevented successful military spouse, the unemployment for military spouses, for the needle to move like we'd like to see it.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'd be curious to get from the military subcommittee if this capacity's gone down or up. You know, I did 30 years in the Air Force, and where we were at, like at one base, we had 2 child carers there. So it's maybe hit and miss depending on which base. But I think most of the bases I've been on have tried to provide that capacity because I know it's a concern for a lot of families. You mentioned you didn't think we should count housing or the substance, the food allowances towards pay. But for some, that's over 1,000 or it could be up to 1,500. It varies based on where you're living. But you don't think they should count that towards determining SNAP income? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think we need parity with our civilian military family members need parity with their civilian counterparts. This is taxable. This is not taxable income. BAH isn't taxable, the housing allowance. So it almost feels like having BAH be part of what makes you eligible or not eligible for SNAP is a disservice, and it's not on par with what our civilian counterparts would have.
Do civilian counterparts get BAS and housing allowance?
No, but their salaries would be reflective of those different allowances.
Yeah, I guess it's a debatable point, but I appreciate your perspective on it. Then one other thing I guess I'm out of time, so I better yield back to the Madam Chair. So thank you.